Peace, love, shalom, family. I want to talk to you today from this topic, fitness. I think it's time to talk about it now because I've been sitting back for a while. I didn't say anything, and I sit in the background like I don't know anything, and I sit around like, I have no experience in this, which I do. I am not a certified personal trainer, but I've been in and out of this thing. I've started at the age of 9, martial arts and cycling, playing little sports here and there, but mainly martial arts and cycling. I've been doing it for approximately 18 years now. I started everything from the age of 9 is where everything started. And I'm talking from a standpoint of hands-on and not just books. Because what most people don't understand is that it's always good to get the book knowledge and the book understanding, but you don't really learn your profession from what I was told until you actually get hands-on and actually do it. So I learned a lot from different personal trainers. I had my own personal trainer for a very long time, and he led me, he guided me, and he made me into who I am today as far as training is concerned. I had other trainers that I talked to online that I converse with through email, but the most important thing is you can learn from anybody, whether it be in person or whether it be, through a letter or whether it be through an email. But I've actually had a one-on-one trainer on and off for 18 years, and I've learned so much from him, and I thank God for him for the time that I did work under him when it came to martial arts, when it came to exercise. He appointed me to train my sisters, he appointed me to train certain ones, and that's how I learned the skill of being able to train somebody. And it's long overdue, so I'm actually ready to start working on that now. We're getting certified into personal training, but my certification is not going to be based on what today's vanity is based on. A lot of people are based on numbers and money, and that's not what I'm based for. I'll have my own other job, and I'll work, to pay my bills. But, my aim is toward elderly people, people that feel like it's too late, like they can't go anymore, like they feel like they're too old. And I want to be that inspiration to let them know that no, you are more than a conqueror. You can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. So yeah, let's get right into it. So as I told you, I gave you a little introduction. What happened to me? So a lot of you knew me beforehand, and I was a fitness holic, man, all over Facebook, all over YouTube. Some of the videos got deleted for musical purposes, for copyright purposes, etc. Some beats I made, some beats I didn't. And you know how, they became very much more strict when it came up to music and what music you use, etc., etc., etc. So I had to be more careful with that. So a lot of those videos had to come down because I didn't have the other stuff saved on a drive or save anywhere. That was my mistake, and just uploading stuff and not saving it to my personal stuff like I used to do when I was younger. I should have continued with that, but I didn't. So if you know me, you know that I've been into fitness, and I was going overboard. I'll tell you that. I was going overboard. Okay, yep, so I'm like right on that second point. I was going overboard, and I didn't see it. My trainer would tell me, you're doing too much. All you got to do is 15, 20 minutes, you're done. And you don't have to train for 2 and 3 hours in the gym. You don't have to constantly just be pumping iron, especially for the type of art that we were doing. You didn't need a lot of, weightlifting for that. But for me, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And a lot of time you get brainwashed by today's fitness and by today's vanity, and you want the big old muscles, you want to look a certain way, you want to, you want to enter into competition, and which I never did want to get into competition with bodybuilding, but I did want to look a certain way, because growing up, I had a low self-esteem. I was very much bullied a lot in my life. A lot of people put me down in the circle. I was always the least respected when it came to doing certain things. So by the time I get to this age here, where I'm like 15 to 16 years old, and now I'm developing muscle mass, and a lot of the guys in the school couldn't develop that kind of muscle that young. They'd be looking at me like, are you like dressed in a kid's body and you a grown man? And you said, no. I'm like, no, it was just genes, it was genetics. And I can literally build big muscles without lifting weights. I don't have to lift a lot of weights. I can lift 10 to 25 pounds, maybe 30, and gain huge muscle. I don't have to gain muscle from lifting all this stuff on your back, which we'll talk about all that stuff later, about the dangers of that stuff and where it can take you. But so on and so on and so on. I didn't listen. He told me it's not about bulking up, especially for our particular art. It's not about bulking up. And, all of these things create vanity. It create vanity within yourself. Everything is about yourself. It's no longer about God. It's no longer about health, wealth, nothing. All you care about is, how do I look? Do I look good doing it? And you just in the mirror consistently just looking at yourself. And I just don't believe that's God's plan for us. If God don't even want us stressing about what we're going to wear and what we're going to eat, what make you think he wants you stressed and focused on your body the way it looks all the time? So I changed my perspective on what fitness is about and why it's important. It's not important for just the way you look. Now, don't get me wrong. It's no harm in wanting to look better. It's no harm in wanting to look appealing to your mate or whoever you're with. It's nothing wrong with that when you're married. You understand what I'm saying? You want your significant other to love you for who you are on the inside, but you also, I bought a water in here, I'm thirsty. But you also want to make sure that you remain appealing to the one that you're with. You want to keep that marriage spicy and you want to keep them looking forward to you, not just because of your inside, but also what you can display on the outside as well. So it's nothing wrong with wanting to look good. It's when you take it too far. Where you got literally 10,000 programs based on arms, 10,000 programs on how to get a bigger chest, looking up 10 different programs on how to get a bigger butt and how to get bigger thighs. And that's when I think it becomes excessive and you're going too far. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to wind up hurting yourself because you're going too far. If you look on documentaries and look at the Africans, you look at the Indians, and you look at especially the Africans, you look at them and you look at the documentaries, and these guys are like ripped, like swole. The women, their legs are ripped, their arms are cut, they're swole. They don't have no fitness programs over there. They're not on this specific keto diet and all these different diets that you see. I'm not saying that it doesn't have its benefits, but it's too excessive in our country. And you look at these people and they're swole and all they doing is rowing a boat. All they doing is picking stuff up and going and just tossing it over. Even in biblical ancient times, if you look up the history, a lot of these people were very fit. You can look it up yourself. Look up how people were built in ancient times. They were extremely built and fit, but they weren't killing themselves with all of these crazy fitness programs and all this other crazy stuff that we see today. And you say, oh, well, they're professionals, so they know what they're talking about. Well, if that's the case, if they know what they're talking about so much and they're so perfect in what they do, then explain to me why sports medicine is so rich. Explain to me why physical therapy is so rich from injuries. Why do so many athletes get injured so much? Because they're going too far to entertain you. Oh, well, they can run faster than you. I would be able to run faster than me too if I train 7 days a week. I have a job. If I train 7 days, I don't have time to train 7 days a week like I used to. I have a job to do. I'm getting ready to get married, possibly a family coming. I don't have time to be dealing with that. I don't have time to be training 24/7 every single day like I was doing before. This is serious. So a lot of people, they become brainwashed by the media. They become brainwashed by YouTube. And I'm telling you, a lot of these people are juiced up. They're taking steroids. I'm not going to say how I know, but I know a lot of people are on steroids and they're coming before you and they're lying to you and they're telling you that if you follow this diet, you're going to look like me. That's deception. It's all about money. They don't care about you. They don't care, you, because I don't even know where the hole is at on this camera, but they're here to fool you. They're here to get your money. As long as they can keep you coming. People are not drawn anymore to fitness for health. They're most likely drawn for vanity, lust, pleasure. How, if I can look this way, I can get more men. Or if I can look this way, I can pull in more women. I can have 5 women a night if I look like this. And I can perform like this. So they go into all these pills and supplements. That's killing you. That's loaded with tens of thousands chemicals that you've probably never even heard of before. So wow, I've actually covered about 3 points already. And I'm not even looking at the book anymore. And another thing I want to say is that I regret doing it because now I have the torn tenants that I have to go see about. My blood pressure is all over the place. I'm always stressed out. Um, all of that intensity, when you're training like that consistently, which I don't want to get into that point yet, from his name is Firas Zahabi. Firas Zahabi. He is an awesome MMA instructor. He's a black belt. And he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I was watching him, and he was talking about how if you go into training and you're sore, you did too much. And people are like, what do you mean you did too much? Like, that's what we're trained. We're trained go hard or go home. Like, we're trained that when you are struggling at that last rep, that's when it counts. That's what we're told, right? But what happens? Right after that, you're probably only able to train maybe like one more other day. Or maybe two more other days and then you're done. Because the intensity, you cannot go hard every single time you train. You cannot go hard each time, especially if you're very intense with your training like I was. I would probably run about 2 miles a day. There were times that I would walk for miles with tons of book bags and bricks in my book bag. I would do push-ups on my fingers, on my thumbs. I would do some insane stuff that, it was cool then. My mom telling me like, yo, Jamel, you better chill out because eventually you're going to hurt yourself. I know what I'm talking about. I know, you want to go, you this, you that, you know what you're talking about. All right, keep it up, bet. So I kept doing it and I kept thinking I knew what I was doing. And then shortly after I got knee problems. I'm hurting myself. No, but I got proper form. It doesn't matter how proper your form is. People still get hurt. If it's too much, I can have proper form and try to pick up a tractor trailer, but that doesn't mean it's going to lift up. I'm going to get hurt. It doesn't matter how proper your form is. If you're overdoing it, you will suffer for it. You will not continuously keep lifting 10,000 pounds every day and thinking that you're going to live long. This is due to temporary vanity, not long-term longevity. I want to train for longevity. I want to be 50 years. I want to be, sorry, because 50 is still young. I want to be about 86, 90 years old and still able to box, or still able to sprint a little bit, or still be able to do a little sparring in martial arts, still able to ride my bike. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be broken to the point where I'm in a wheelchair and looking at my grandkids and I can't play with my grandkids. I can't pick my kids up because I'm so heavy. But the point I wanted to make about Firas Zahabi, that's his name because I have a hard time pronouncing names. But I've been watching him for a while. And on his podcast, he was saying that when you train, if you can do, say if your max is 10 pull-ups, right? You could do 10 pull-ups. And you can't do 11 if somebody put a gun up to your head and you can't do 11. Should you be doing 10 pull-ups every time you train? No, you should be doing 5 pull-ups. And he had a point because his goal is to get you to do 5 every day until you could get to 6, until you could get to 7. But if you burn yourself out, you're not going to be able to do these 5 or 10 pull-ups the next time we come in. So this is why he was saying that the Russian wrestlers, when they're training, he was saying that the intensity part is for the match. The intensity part is for when you actually get ready to perform whatever sport you get ready to perform. But the intensity is not for your training. Because what begins to happen, he was talking about the Russians. The Russian wrestlers, which he's 100% right. I used to watch all of this stuff for years. And I noticed that the Russian wrestlers are able to pick up more championships than anybody in the country usually. I mean, than anybody in the world usually. And the reason why is because when they're training, they're playing around really. They're not really going in all out hard. They're like, laughing around, playing, wrestling each other on the ground, and they might throw, but they're not killing themselves to a point where they can barely talk. So it just has so many different points to it that he made that I feel like is so outstanding. I'm going to actually put the link in the description box below because I want you to listen to him yourself so he can explain to you exactly what I'm trying to articulate. And it's just amazing how you can become so strong and so fit for a long term from doing less. But that's to the contrary, you could do a whole lot of stuff. See, that boot camp training, it's not long term. If you notice, they don't do this all the time in the military because it's not meant to be done all the time. I'm not against high intensity, but I'm against it when it's every single day. If you're killing your clients, this is me talking. If you're killing your clients, they're not going to want to come back. That's why they usually say find a fitness that you like. Find something that you're going to find interesting 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, because 9 times out of 10, if you are killing them, it's not fun any longer. They can't breathe. You're screaming at the top of your lungs, telling them to go more when they know that they can't. They don't tell you about how many people actually get hurt in these gyms and how many people actually have heart attacks in these classes. They're not going to tell you that because they're going to hide those parts of, because they're going to teach you intensity, intensity, intensity. Something that looks appealing, something that looks strong because it creates pride, ego. I can do more than you. Oh, who else is bigger than me? It's not about that. Who else gonna live longer than you? You keep doing what you're doing. But see, these are the things that I've learned. And I say all that to say this: train for health. Anytime you're working towards something, let it be long term. Don't kill yourself. Don't hurt yourself just to look a certain way or to outdo somebody else. There's always going to be somebody out there stronger than you, bigger than you, faster than you. That's just the world that we live in. This is why we should all stay humble at all times, because there's nothing that you can do to be inferior to the world. There's no training program that you can do that's going to make you stronger than every single man in the world. I'm not trying to be stronger than every man in the world. I don't train martial arts to beat up every man. I train martial arts that if you come up to me and try to hurt me and my family, I'm going to knock your head off and call the police and get you off of me as fast as I can. I'm not going to try to stand in the middle of the street and box with you. My master always taught us, you have 3 to 6 seconds to take somebody out if you're in a fight. Anything longer than that, you can get hurt. Anything longer than that, you are in danger of dying. So, even the way that I train, even for future things that I'm working on so much. I've learned so much. You do not have to kill yourself to be fit. There was a lady that is a 86-year-old vegan, and she started at the age of 72 or 73. She was on the Steve Harvey show. You can look it up, the Steve Harvey talk show. And she was talking about how she started so late, but it's never too late. And she wasn't on all these crazy programs. Guess what? She lost over 50 pounds, I believe. Don't quote me, but it was over. I know it was over 20 or 30, but it's like 50 pounds. And all she was doing, honest to God, all she was doing was walking around in her house. She had her little things on and had a little timer on, and she was just walking around the house. She was burning fat. Like, even with my fiance, like, I've even been working with her, and she's doing outstanding. She's doing amazing with all the weight that's just falling off of her. And I was teaching her that from before. Sweetheart, you don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to hurt yourself to be fit. You don't have to pay attention. And she got it fast. A lot of people don't. You know what I'm saying? She was never the type to try to battle anybody with fitness, but she wanted to be meaningful in it. She wanted to actually work hard. But I had to tell her, you don't have to kill yourself. And I read a study a long time ago where it said that if you're working out and you can't talk, you're no longer burning fat. Now you're working out for endurance. But if we're working out and we can still hold a conversation, you're building fat. I've learned so much through these years, and I have so much more to learn. But I'm being honest with you. I don't want to learn from today's vanity. When I look up fitness and I study things, I study the East, the Eastern philosophy, the Eastern ways of health and wellness, the ways of Africa. Not when it comes to the spiritualism, because that goes into things that I can't deal with anymore, because I've been saved and I've been transformed, so I don't look for things like that anymore like I used to for the spirit realm. But I can tell you that there are so many different things that you can do that is so simple. Like me, I'm getting ready to go back into professional cycling. I want to get back into that, man. I was never professional, but I felt like I was, because I'm not bragging, but I was pretty good at it. And I want to get back into cycling, and I want to win a trophy. I want to win a trophy, and I want to give it to my mother. That's something I always wanted to do. There's so many different things you can do, man. I have so much that I'm working on, and so much I have planned that I don't want to display now, because I have a lot of people listening that will take your ideas and act like it was theirs. And I'm very well aware of that. But just know that within the next year or so, a year and a half, that when I come forth with this stuff and these new programs that I'm going to have after I'm certified, because I will be certified in it by then. certified in personal training. I just can't wait, because fitness has become a big giant porn hub. It's become a big obstacle course of death where people are trying to win over each other. Trying to win over each other when they're killing themselves. You don't have to kill yourself to be fit. So I hope you got something out of this 20-minute video. I believe, yeah, it's 20 minutes. Dag, I can talk. I hope you got something out of this 20-minute video. I know I didn't cover everything. There's still more that I want to say. If I do find more to talk about, I'll come back and I'll talk about it again, and I'll add some points. But I doubt it though, because I pretty much said everything in a nutshell today. And the whole moral to the story is, be fit for long life, be fit for longevity. Focus not so much on the way you look, but look at more of how you perform in life. You should be able to. There's a lot of guys that are bulky and big and buff and ripped, all these steroids and everything, but they can't even run. They can't even walk a mile. Can't even walk up the stairs. So you always want to make sure that your fitness is for the right cause and for the right reason. And when you're doing this, you can ask yourself, is it hurting me? All of this weightlifting, this stuff is crazy, man. I don't lift weights anymore. And I'm not. Between my body weight and resistance training and some cardio, that's what I'm looking at. I want to get even. The next time you see me on a video on this topic, I'll probably be even more smaller than this. But it's not about that. I'm just saying, like, it's just about being healthy. Whatever you choose to do is what you choose to do. But just know the dangers behind it. There's too many people getting hurt behind this weight training. It's too much. You need strength training, I believe, for your life activities. But I wouldn't recommend lifting no heavier than 30 pounds. Oh yeah, but I can lift more. Well, up the reps. Stay lean. Stay fit, man. Stay fit. Live long. Have longevity in your life. I don't see that many 80-year-old bodybuilders. You see them here and there, but in other countries. But I don't see too many 90-year-old bodybuilders. I see more 90-year-old marathon runners, 90-year-old track stars, runners. Even some of that can be dangerous as well for your knees, as well as the tennis. But you just have to know how to moderate it. There's no harm in it. You just gotta know how to moderate it. Don't lift too heavy. You're gonna hurt yourself in the long run. That's why sports medicine is rich. Peace, love, shalom.